The Fed is who your politicians work for. That's the Fed, the Federal Reserve, brought every American into indentured servitude. They didn't even have to tell you. All over the Knickerbocker crisis. The Knickerbocker Trust was a bank based in New York City that was at one time among the largest banks in the United States. It was a central player in the panic of 1907. 1907 is the panic that happened that led to the Federal Reserve. This is who the politicians work for. Their job is to get on the news and have whatever crisis is going on overseas. It doesn't matter if it's Ukraine, Israel, doesn't matter. It's to serve the bankers. It always is. You are an indentured slave in that system. The Federal Reserve, or simply the Fed, is the central banking system of the United States. It was created on December 23rd, 1913, with the enactment of the Federal Reserve Act after a series of financial panics, particularly the Panic of 1907, which was the Knickerbocker panic. Or crisis, not panic. Well, it panicked everybody, but they were the part of the crisis, the main culprits. Led to the desire for central control of the monetary system in order to alleviate financial crises. Over the years, events such as the Great Depression in the 1930s and the Great Recession during the 2000s have led to expansion of the roles and responsibilities of the Federal Reserve System to take you further into the slavery debt system. Yes, because the bankers, they just do whatever crisis they have to, and they always make out. The Panic of 1907, also known as the 1907 Bankers' Panic, or Knickerbocker crisis, was a financial crisis that took place in the United States over a 3-week period starting in mid-October, when the New York Stock Exchange suddenly fell almost 50% from its peak the previous year. The panic occurred during a time of economic recession, and there were numerous runs affecting banks and trust companies. The 1907 panic eventually spread throughout the nation when many state and local banks and businesses entered bankruptcy. The primary cause of the run included a retraction of market liquidity by a number of New York City banks and a loss of confidence among depositors exacerbated by unregulated, I can't see part of it, at bucket shops. So this is how the bankers control everything. That is who your Republicans work for. It is who your Democrats work for. It is the reason you will see them fall all over themselves to send Ukraine money if they're Democrats, or to send Israel money if they're Republicans. Now, the story they will give is we have to stand by Israel. That makes absolutely no sense when our country is falling apart. But they will put all of their reporters in Israel, right? Okay, some that I've read were even embedded with Hamas terrorists. What is that about? Did it even happen? I mean, you mean to tell me that reporters from Reuters and CNN were embedded with Hamas and they didn't do anything except stand there and take pictures and watch it happen? Yeah, that was a report that came out. So, yeah, or is it all designed and then the politicians do their best to keep you focused there? No, we must support Ukraine. No, we must support Israel. No, again, the minute it started with this, and I don't care even if President Trump says it. I don't. I think that he's a wise enough man that knows that unless your own country is in order, you shouldn't just be handing money over fist to other countries. I am sorry about Israel. I really am. I know they need help. We have been giving them help. But you will only see the Republicans and the Democrats work to be thugs for the Federal Reserve. That's it. That's why I don't put any hope there. I don't, because that's who they work for. And it goes back to your global bankers. It goes back to your oligarchs, the people that have the most money in the world. What do you know? As I said in my last video, the most money and the most time on their hands. And they prove the Bible themselves, each one of them. Klaus Schwab, Bezos, Zuckerman, there's so many of them. Soros. How money has made them sick in their mind. Exactly the very thing that Jesus said about the root of all evil is money. Not because money itself is evil, but what it does to people. It makes them become tyrannical in their thinking, and they get a bunch of stupid people that create a bunch of stupid associations that govern every sector, whether it comes to education, healthcare, the government. I mean, the amount of associations is such bullshit. And then they dictate this and they dictate that, and all of it is all coming from the global bankers. What do you know? The Federal Reserve owns us. So, and your politicians, I don't care what they say. If they get in because they're going to serve the Federal Reserve. You could say they have no choice, but they do. They could say the truth. They could get up on TV and say, no, we stand with America. Okay, does that mean we stand with no other country? No, but it means right now America is in crisis. So whatever Netanyahu's got going on in Israel, whatever's going on in these countries have to handle their own problems. Okay? You can't expect our country to save everyone or come in and do regime change everywhere, okay? Look how well that's worked out because of the Bushes. We need to get the hell out of everybody's country. We need to get the hell out of this whole government system of Republicans and Democrats. We have way too many of them everywhere, okay? And all of them serve bankers. It's like it's like the home of the snake there. And you are the indentured slave in that system, which is why you don't get a voice. What do you think Zuckerberg was for? He was for taking down any truth, anybody speaking truth. What do you think YouTube served? What do you think the heads of YouTube served? What do you think the heads of TikTok served? What do you think the head of Facebook serves? What do you think the head of Twitter serves? They serve the bankers. They serve the Federal Reserve, which is why they silence truth. And so every time a Republican gets on and carries on about Israel, and every time a Democrat gets on and carries on about Ukraine or Palestine, realize what both sides are doing. What both heads of that bird are doing, okay? Both heads of the same bird, or two heads of the same bird. Realize what they are doing. What they are doing is they work for the Federal Reserve. They work for the global bankers, which is why your life doesn't get better, which is why more money is taken from you. And their job is to convince you that we must focus on Israel. We must focus on Ukraine. We must focus on President Xi in China. We must focus on President Putin in Russia. We must focus on, no! We must focus on America. And the very fact that both the left and the right have their focuses elsewhere, both wanting to direct you to everything outside this country instead of focusing on the biggest problem we have in this country, which is the damn Federal Reserve and dishonest politicians on the left and the right. Their job is to distract you. Now, until the American people, whether you're a Democrat, a Libertarian, a Republican, a conservative, I don't care what you are, until you want to see that fact that the Federal Reserve owns your ass, okay? And those politicians, that whether they're liberal or Democrat, conservative or Republican, are not going to do the right thing because they can't. None of them have been able to. The ones that do stand up in the past, and there's been very few that speak up about it, well, they just end up silenced and dead. So, the American people, if you want your country back, you better stop thinking that it's about Israel and Palestine or Democrat and Republican, and realize it's about eliminating the liars and the Federal Reserve.